Remember I said right from the beginning that there is a format that needs to be followed. And I gave a number of keywords that need to be used in the SQL statement. One of them is select, and then from, where, group by, order by, and co. And then I did mention that the most important of those words, the reserved words, are the select statement and then from. They would always appear in any query that you run, because you have to say what you want, which is within the select statement, and then you also have to say where you want it from, which is within the from statement. Now, other statements would depend on the kind of condition that you have to meet. I do also remember saying that I think I remember that we ended on what was the last? Who can remind me the last query that we run?
Yeah, the last query we ran was the query where we select the pay element ID, person ID, pay value that we divided the
Okay, where we
amount
run
of money
the
by
we look for
12
those who
months.
earn salary, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool. So yeah, so today we good, and then okay, that reminds me of something which I forgot. No, I didn't really forget, but I think I should just bring it up at this stage. I do remember when we were when we started right from the beginning, I used the word literals, which means that the words that you write in your query must be written exactly the way they are in the database. If there are errors in spelling, for example, you would get an error message. Your query would not be able to find what you are looking for. So just to prove that, let's just quickly do this one and see. Am I sharing my screen? Okay, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. Share. Okay. Let me move this away from here. Okay. Yeah, let me see. Is this where we stopped last week? Yep, this was the, can you see my screen?
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay, so let's continue from where we stopped. I've just opened another query page. So let me just put this here. So to verify literals, let's verify literals. That's just what I want to do now. And this holds for all. So if I just take this one, for example, you see the same query. This can be found. Where can we find this pay element? It's within the pay element. Let me make sure I've selected the correct database. Let me see, pay elements. Pay elements. Yep, we have pay elements within the HR database. So that's fine. That's fine. So this query, if I were to just run this, would produce that, right? To produce that. Now let me change, let me just intentionally make an error where pay type is equal to salary. I've made a spelling error. Let's see what would happen. Do you get what I'm trying to prove? Right. So it is very, very important when you're running queries that the words you use in your statements are written exactly the same way they are in the database. So where you have spelling errors, you're bound to have errors in output. Now, sometimes when you have errors in output, it doesn't necessarily mean that your query is wrong. It could simply be because of a spelling error. It could simply be because you are not following the rules of literals, which means that they need to be written the way they are meant to be. Right. So that brings us to this one here. Let's go on to this, what we want to do today, and that is query 5. Query 5. The query 5, like I did say, has to do with the where clause. Where clause. Now, as an example, let's just discuss. Assuming I want to look for something in a class, a class of students, doing various subjects, right? And from these, I want just those students who do geography or who do just French. I can easily query the student database. I can tell the database to select first name, surname, student ID from student table. If I just leave it at that, it will produce all the students in the student table. But if I just want to specify the exact group of people I want, I use the where clause, where student subject or where subject, depending on how it is written in the database, where subject is equal to geography. It will give me just those students who are reading geography. Am I making sense? So the where clause generally is used to restrict the output of a query. It's used in restricting the output of a query. And there are 5 basic types of where clause. There are 5 types. So let's take 5.1. 5.1 is the comparison clause. Comparison. Comparison clause. We have 5.2. 5.2 is the range. Then 5.3 is the set membership. Five point four is the pattern match. And 5.5, the null clause. These are the 5 types of where clauses, or the 5 instances where we can use the where clause. These are the 5 instances where we can use the where clause. Before we go into the details of this, okay, let's take the first one, 5.1. Who can tell me what we mean by comparison operators? The comparison clause works based on the comparison operators. What are the what comparison operators do you know? Can anybody help me? Or should I name names? Should I call names?
Yeah, I think equals to is part of it.
Beautiful. One of them is equal to. What's the next one?
Greater than.
Greater than.
Less than.
Sorry.
Less than.
Yep, less than. Yep. Any other one?
Greater or equal to.
Greater than or equal to.
Yeah.
Greater than or equal to. Any other one?
Less than or equal to.
Who is talking?
My name's Albert.
Albert.
Yeah.
Let other people try now. Yes, any other one? Okay, Albert, finish it, finish it.
Not equal to.
Not equal to. Not equal to. Any other one?
True or false?
Pardon?
True or false?
No, that's a Boolean.
Okay.
All right, let me help you with this one. Who can tell me what this is? Look at the second and the third. Can you read a meaning into what this might be?
Is that
In
not,
between.
is that not greater or less than?
In between.
Okay, I hear 2 voices. One is male, one is female. Let's hear the female voice. Who is, what did you say?
In between.
Can you explain why?
Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of my background noise. Hold on.
Okay, while
So
she's doing that, the male
yeah,
voice, can you explain, what did you say?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, yeah, shoot.
So that's in between because we are saying that something that is greater than or less than is kind of, you're giving it a range. Like, I don't know that.
Okay,
No,
you've tried. Yes, the male voice. What did you say? Sorry, I'm saying the male voice because I can't see who is talking because I'm showing
Yeah,
the screen.
yeah. I said greater than or less than.
Greater
no,
than or less than.
I think it's actually called an angle bracket or something.
Yeah, but it's not a bracket in this instance. It's a comparison operator.
And so it means less than.
Hmm?
Less than.
Okay, but it has both. It also has greater than. Okay, let me just explain what this means. This simply means that it is less than and at the same time greater than. It is less than or greater than. So it is not equal to. It is either less than or greater than. So it is not in between. Like the lady said, it is not equal to. So this and that in a certain way are the same thing. The last two are basically the same things. Yeah. So we would use some of these when we do our run our queries. So comparison operators, it's something that is equal to another. It can be greater than, it can be less than. It may be greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to. All these are comparison operators, right? Right. So let's take our query here. Let's run a query. So we are still working with pay elements because to use it's best to use comparison operators on numerical values, right? Because yeah, that will give us a better understanding of what we are trying to achieve. So we will still stick to the pay elements table. So if we have select, for example, let me just go up here and copy and come and paste. Okay, it's too much there. Let's say we want to say select all. Right? We want to select everything from pay elements. From pay elements. Mind you, we could have just run this query itself. We can just run this query like you already know, and it would give us everything that we have in pay elements. Right. But we are looking for something specific. Who can use one of these to give us something specific? That specificity should come from, like I said, numerical value. So we're looking for the pay value. Okay, let me give you an example where pay value, is, for example, greater than 30,000. Right? Where pay value is greater than 30,000. Let's run this query and see what we would get. Whether it would give us pay values, it will return results of people who earn more than 30,000, greater than 30,000. That's what we are looking for. When we run this, this is what we have. And if we look at the pay values, this is 55,000, 3142, 3150, 31,500, 3540, 30 and 50, 42, 31,250, 36,500, 31,220, 32,690, 33,100. They are all greater than 30,000. Right? In much the same way, if we were to say Where pay value is less than 30,000, it would return all results less than 30,000. All results less than 30,000. So this is what you see, it's giving us all the hourly paid people, because that's just how the result is. Pay value is less than 30,000. All of these less than 30,000. Right? Now, so that's 5.1. Let me bring this, let me make this just 5. Now let me make this 5, okay, 5.1, 5.11, 5.1, 5.11. We also have, we can combine, you see, instead of just using one of these, we can combine 2 or more. And that becomes a compound comparison search. Compound comparison. Okay, so if we have this and then we say, for example, again, let's use selects. Let's use what we had before. Where pay value is greater than, let me use less than. That will give us more results. Or end date. We know what this is, right? We know what this stands for, right? Can somebody tell me what this is? Hello? Hello? Are we here?
Is it not equal to?
Not equal to. Not equal to null. Not equal to null. So if we run this one, for example, so this is all. We would also use another, we would also use the AND statement. I'm sure by now we all know the difference between or and and. So you see the results that we have here. This gives us a match, this or that. So it has taken all the cases where pay value is less than 30,000, and also where the end date is not null. Right? Where pay value is 30,000 or end date is not null. Any question here so far?
I have a
No.
question for that.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes,
So
go.
where we put or 30,000 or no, so what will it then do if it was an AND function?
Okay, let's
Because it
try
looks
it.
like
I
it brought
expected that.
both of them.
That's why I actually paused and asked that question. I expected that question because that's the next thing we are going to do. And I want you to look carefully at this results here. I was also expecting somebody to say, why is there null? We are saying end date is not null. Why is that? I was actually expecting somebody to ask that. But because of the or operator, it is either this or that. So it combines both. So let's see what happens when we run this one. Do we get any result with this? No, because there is nothing like that. There is no instance, sorry. There is no instance in the database where the pay value is 30,000 and the end date is not null. Right? There's no instance like that. Let's do it let's run it separately and see.
I have a question again. Sorry.
Yes, please.
So the null, I see that it wasn't in quotation. Does that mean it's a system? I have forgotten the term you used. So it's not a user-defined phrase.
Null is not a user-defined word in SQL.
Okay, okay, thank you.
But we would actually look at null itself later on. We will look at null critical because null is a funny character. Null is a very funny character. We will look at it. Let's look at another one. The same query, but let's change something slightly. Let's take away this. And run it and see. There's very little difference between this and that. Reason being that still because of the or. Either this or that. So it takes everything that is less than 30,000. At the same time, everything that is equal to null. Like here, everything that is less than 30,000. So some of the those ones that are more than 30,000, like this, would have a null. Right? At the same time, where's the first? The first, yeah, this one. Less than 30,000 or, so it's less than 30,000 or null. Right. Now, here to the same thing. Less than 30,000 or is equal to null. Here is not equal to null. So or and can be very fun. Let's change this one to and see what would happen if we run that.
So I have a question.
Yes, please go on.
So does it mean if it is, for example, if we have in this case where we have less than 30,000 and end date equals to null, does it mean that if it is above 30,000, it will not be null? Something like that.
We can try that. Actually, we can try that and then see what happens.
Okay.
We can try that. But let's run this first and see. I've changed this to and, the opposite of that. And then let's see what we're going to get.
Yeah.
The same thing as when we run this one. Okay. It's not that it would work in other instances, except that in this particular instance, within this database, there isn't this case.
Okay.
That is why there is no result. Let's use a different column. Let's use a different column. Let's use, let me see, job. Okay, let's use job ID and see. Let's use job ID. Job ID is greater than, let's say, 6. I'm sure this will give us a better view when we use the AND statement. So here, job is either less than 30,000 or job ID is greater than 6. So here, you see all these ones, either this or that, either this or that. Job ID here is greater than 6, but you see that the pay value is also greater than 30,000. So the OR clause gives a wider range of values. The OR clause is a union of, I'm not sure if a union of sets, whilst the AND gives an intersection of values. Job ID. Job ID is greater than 6. Let's run this one and see what happens with that. So in this particular instance, you see that this is a clear case where the AND has worked perfectly. There is no instance of anything 6 or less in the job ID field. There is no instance of 6 or less in the job ID field. You can see that field here. No instance of 6 or less in it. Everything is from 7 upwards. Right? So it would work if the result you are looking for is within the database. I only brought this up because the AND we used earlier on didn't work. So let's go to our next kind of where clause. And that is, what is the next one? Range condition. Range comparison condition. Oh, sorry, range condition. So we're looking for a range. So it must be between two things, right? A range would normally be between two or more things. Mainly two things. A range. from one end to another, whatever is in between. So the range condition main clause are the words between. These are the key words used in the range condition. Between and not between. Between and not between. These are the main keywords used in a range. Something has to be between one or two, or not between. So let's see what we can do with that. Again, let's use the pay elements because that is where we have numerical values which we can easily use for this kind of query. And then we are going to change the statement in the where clause. So where pay value between let's say 40K and 60K. Let's see if there's anybody like that ends between 40K, or there are people like that end between 40K and 60K in the organization. Let's just check. I'm not sure. Let's just check. If it doesn't give us a result, it simply means that there is nobody there like that. Let's check. So at least we have 3 people who earn between 40 and 60K. 3 people. Right? 3 people earn between that. In the same way, we can use not between. And when we run this, what do we have? This, as you can already imagine, it should give us all the other values. All the other values, right? It gives us every other thing. The third type, so this is 5.2. This is 5.2. 5.3. 5.3. The third one is the set membership. Remember, we said set membership here belongs to a set membership. How can we, what words from the top of your head, can you think of any word that will show that something is a member of another thing?
Cluster,
Pardon?
cluster,
Cluster.
cluster, cluster.
Cluster.
Yeah.
Clustering doesn't necessarily mean things in the cluster are in a membership sort of thing, does it?
Group. Okay, what about elements?
Elements. Yeah, that also doesn't necessarily mean that the various elements are in a group.
What about include?
I'm more inclined to accept include, but I
Part
want
of.
something simpler than that.
Part of.
Pardon? You're
Part
going,
of.
you're saying, you're adding, include is just one word, part of, two words.
Sorry.
So you are making it more complex. Actually, include, you have, take the clude out of include, and then you have in. Something is in something. It's a member of something. You belong to a group. You are in a group. So in and not in. These are the key words for set membership. Something is in something or not in it. Right, so let's see what we can, let's see, what can we use here? 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 Let me run this and see. Let me run this element, select. Let me run this first. I'm just trying something, yeah? So this, we don't have anything here that will show membership apart from gender. But I don't want to use gender. Let me see what I have here. Right, so like this one, we can use marital status here. We can either say that some people are married, they belong to group married, separated, divorced, cohabiting, single. We can use that. Right, so let's see. Let's run a query based on that and see what we get. So select all from marital status, where marital status in married. Let's see if this is gonna work. Is it correctly spelled? Correctly spelled. So why is it underlined? Okay. So select all from marital status where the status, where the people you have selected are married people. They belong to a group of married people. They are in a group of married people. And this should return all those people, all the group. If you check the marital status here, everybody there reported here should be married. In the same way, you can do all those who are single. You can do all those who are divorced. You can do all those who are cohabiting. And also, you can do a compound, just like we did here. Compound comparison search. We can do a compound membership search, right? So if we take, oh, no, I don't like that.
I have a question, please.
Yes, please go ahead.
So I'm reading this query where marital status in married, and in my head it's sounding looking the other way around. Like, what would happen if you put the condition before the set? So if it was we're married in, so because we're looking for married within the marital status set, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that the case that you write the set before the condition, or am
You
I
write
reading it literally?
you're looking for this
I'm looking for married within
within
marital
this
set.
field. Mind you, this is the field.
Yes, but
So okay, go ahead.
the in, maybe I'm reading it literally, because the in is looking like the way it's written, it looks
Okay,
like
mind you, the in here is not just in. It is in indicating a group.
okay.
Do you get that? The
Yes.
in here indicates a group.
Okay. Okay. I think I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, sorry.
So let's do a compound membership condition. Let's run two of these. Married, in married, and at the same time cohabiting. Cohabiting. Did I spell it right? Yes, I did. So when we run this, these are all the people who are married. The group is a group of people who are married or who are cohabiting. Right? That's what this one means. Mind you, this same clause here that we wrote, instead of in, let's use equal to and see what happens. Actually, I should have done this immediately after that. Yep, it returns. So this is the same as that. This one here and that are the same. But if you want to show that there is a group, that's when you use in. And in this instance, when we remove the brackets, it should work. It should work at the same, it should still work. When we remove the bracket, it should work. When the bracket is there, it should work. Whilst in this instance, when we remove the brackets, it wouldn't work because it has to be grouped up. Right. So query 4, 5.4. 5.4 is the pattern search. This is also a little bit long. Pattern search, where you are looking for patterns. And I'll tell you something. Or pattern match, sorry. Pattern match, search condition. Pattern match search condition. There are a number of okay, let me rephrase. Pattern match. So what do you think this will be looking out for? Yes, by the name. Just by the name. Yeah?
Maybe pairing multiple conditions together.
No. Mind you, the word pattern. What comes to mind when you think about a pattern? You're looking at a trend, pattern, trend, something that looks like, not like. These are the key words for pattern match. Like and not like are the key words for pattern match. But before we go into that, there are two simple things we want to look at. And these are called the wild card. The wild card. Wild card. Who knows what the wild card is? Who knows what the wild card is? That is your percentage sign. That is what is the wild card. And also the underscore. Underscore. So these two things serve as a wild card. This percentage sign and then the underscore. And I tell you what, these two things are used in databases a lot, especially by security personnel. I would explain why I said that. So how will they use this? Mainly in things like you want to look for a pattern in something. So you run a wildcard. Anything that produces, if you have a wildcard within the query, it would yield a result that will look like what you are looking for. So assuming you want to run a search on Facebook, Facebook is quite broad. The database of Facebook is too big for you to be able to run a search, a successful search, without narrowing down your search. Right? So you can use the wildcard to narrow it down and specify what you want your results to look like. Right, so let's look at instances of the wildcard. Instances of the wildcard. Like I said, the wildcard is this percentage sign and also the underscore. They do different things, but achieve the same result. Where is my screen? Where is my screen? Where is my screen? Have I logged out? What's happened? Okay. They do the same thing, but they do they yield the same thing. But they are used differently. They are used differently, but to achieve the same purpose. So let's look at 5.41. Can you see what I've written? It looks tiny, but I hope you are able to see it. Who can read what I've just written on line 1, 2, 3? Just this bit.
That's address like H percentage and two
Right.
bracket commas.
So address like H wildcard. What does this mean? Now, what this means is that you're looking for something where the first letter must be an H. You're looking for an address, assuming you want to look for an address in the UK, but you don't know what the address is. But if you are guided in a kind of way, you will be able to narrow down the search such that gradually you will get to the address that you are looking for. Now, you know that the name of the street, for example, starts with an H, but you don't know the full name. But if you get a prompt, you will remember what it is. So address like H percentage, H wildcard. Now, what this means is that the first letter must be an H. Any other thing that follows can be anything. So if you use this to run a query, it would give you all, if for example, you use this to run a query on the addresses in the UK, it will give you all the addresses, all the street names, for example, that start with an H. And like I said, that is how security personnel are able to narrow down on things. You've moved your address. You think you are, you think you cannot be found, but then they start narrowing down using the wildcard. And before you know it, they know where you are. Right. So this, let me write what this means so that I can send it to you in the notes. The first letter must necessarily be H. The rest can be anything. Okay. On that note, who can tell me what this one would be?
H.
Pardon?
I thought you said the first letter must be H.
No, 125. I'm talking about line 125.
Oh,
I mean, it means like the first letter must be and K, then the rest can be anything.
Pardon?
I said it means the first letter must be and K, and the rest can be anything.
No, not at all.
Really.
Not at all. Not at all.
the
Not at all. Pardon?
last letter.
Must be,
The last letter must be
the last letter must be K. The rest can be anything. The last letter must be K. Right? The last letter must be K. The rest can be anything. Now let's look at this one.
Sorry, Godwin. What did you
Yeah.
put? What did you put behind the K? Is that an and sign?
I put before. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's why somebody was saying and. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I thought somebody would good for correcting me. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this one, who can tell me what this would be? What will this mean?
The address must contain Manchester.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. The address must contain Manchester. The address must contain Manchester. So in the same way, when I say what does that mean? The address must not contain Manchester. Okay. And in the same way, if I were to take this one,
sorry.
yep,
The address
I'm listening.
contain Manchester and the address must not contain Manchester. They are the same.
The address, pardon, where?
The last two queries, they are the same.
You mean 5.4.3 and 5.4.4?
Yeah.
Are you sure they are the same?
Yes.
Are you sure they are the same?
There is something like address not like right at the front of that. So
Look at 5.4.3 and 5.4. Look at it very carefully. The first one says address like Manchester. The next one says address not like.
Yeah, I'm talking about the signs there.
Okay, so this is the address must contain Manchester. The address must not contain Manchester.
Okay. So you just put not like there. That's
Yeah.
the only separating
Yeah.
factor.
So the same thing here, if I were to put not here,
Okay. Okay. You don't really have to start with
it means the first letter must not be an H.
Mm.
The first letter must not or cannot be an H. Right? Cannot be H. The rest cannot be H. Are we getting it? So this is the pardon?
This is confusing me. I'm right.
It's
So,
confusing you.
yeah. So we are going to write the query now. Yeah, we are going to execute it. So how do you execute it? Are you going to
Don't worry, we are not executing yet. We are just giving out the instances.
Okay.
We are not executing anything at this stage.
Okay.
Right? So let's look at 5.5 now. And this is the use of the, first we use this wildcard, the percentile, the percentage wildcard. Now we're looking at the underscore. And let's see how that one is used. Let's still use H here. And then the underscore. I am going to leave space to make it clear. I mean, if for example, if I'm writing, there's no space between the letters, right? There's no space between the letters. But for the purpose of clarity, I am going to leave space before I put the underscore, okay? So when you are reading or when you are writing, these spaces should actually not be there. I've only put it there for the purpose of clarity to make you see the underscore. Otherwise, if I were just there are 4 underscores there now. If I were just to put it all at once, 1, 2, 3, 4, you just see a straight one line. Do you get what I'm trying to achieve? So I'll leave space so that now what does this mean? Who can tell me what this means?
The first letter can be H and the subsequent one must not be more than 4 letters.
Beautiful. The first letter must be H. The subsequent ones are 4 letters. And the word can be any word. Right? First character is H. in a 5-letter word. All right, let's just look at one more example, one more instance. That is the reverse of what we have just done.
Sorry to take you back, Godwin.
Yes, please.
So what's the use of the underscore, if I might ask?
We shall soon see the use of the
Okay.
underscore.
Okay.
Okay, let me answer you. The use of the underscore, for example, is when you want to search for, like I said, the wildcard is used in searching for things that match a particular pattern. That's why it's called a pattern match search. Now, why will you run a pattern match? You're running a pattern match because you do not know exactly what you are looking for, but you have an idea of what it is. Sorry, 1 minute. Sorry about that. Like I was saying, the pattern match is used in searching for things that you are not sure about, but you have an idea of what they are. So for example, here in the first one, 5.4.1, you don't know exactly the word you are looking for, but you do know that the word starts with an H. So you can use this underscore, this percentage sign here to write the first character, which you are sure about, and run a query, including this here. And now this, what would happen is that when you run a query with this and then the wildcard, it gives you everything that has H as a first character. So with that, you can now look for what it is that you are actually looking for from the results that you get. Right? So here too, assuming we are looking for, let's say a 5-letter word, let's say house, but we don't remember exactly what it is. But we do know that it's 5 letters. We know it starts with H. Now, when we write a query that contains this, right? What it does is that it gives us all the words, 5-letter words, not more than 5 letters. There must be, after the H, we have written 4 underscores. So there must necessarily be a 5, the result must necessarily be 5-letter words, not more, not less. But it must start with an H. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me see if I can get some examples that we can use. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can. I said there was one more, right? Yes, there's just what the reverse of this actually. Reverse of this one, 5.5.2. So in this particular case, you see that clearly, how many characters do you want in this word? You want a 4-character word.
4 characters.
And the last character must be
Okay.
K. last character being okay. Is that cool? Is that okay? Okay, so let's see if we can run a query that has any of these things. Let's just look for something to see if we can get something like that. Let me see.
Sorry, Godwin.
Yes,
So
please.
the underscore doesn't have a not.
Oh, you can put a not there.
Okay.
We can put not.
For the pattern match search, does it work for only non-numeric characters like letters, or can it work for numerical?
It can work for numericals too.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. So let's select. Let's write a query now. Maybe one or two examples. They follow the same pattern. Select all. Since we use addresses here, let's use address. Select all from addresses. Where address line. Let me okay, let's run this first. Let's run this first and see what we get. Okay, let's see. Let's just narrow. Let's concentrate on just something we can easily we have sight of on the screen at the moment, and then let's say one, 2, 3, 4 lines. Can somebody suggest what we should look for? Can somebody suggest what we should look for?
Maybe a postcode that starts with a letter.
Yeah. Okay, so you want postcode, right? Okay, so where postcode? Where postcode like where postcode like
You've missed out the code.
pardon?
You've missed out the code.
The what? Oh,
You-
I missed out the code. Yeah, postcode. Thank you. Where postcode like, so this has to be in quotation marks. Right? So let's run this and see. Where postcode like T. Now, what is the meaning of this first? The postcode has to start with T, right? The rest can be anything. Is that correct? Is that what we said earlier on? So let's see if we would return that. The first must necessarily be T. And that has returned all postcodes that begin with a T. All postcodes that begin with a T. So you see how powerful the wildcard can be, and which is why the security agencies like it.
A question, please.
Yes, please.
Can you query two letters using the wildcard? So if we said that postcode like TW, would that still run?
Let's see. Let's try it. I like to always say we should try it. If we don't try it, we don't know. Where postcode like TW, right?
Yes, which is basically your all the queries, all the database, but just wanted to see.
You want us to run this?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's see. I'm sure it will run. I'm sure it will run. But just to prove the point. And if we want to do it the other way around, oh, God have mercy. Where let's put this. The first should not be anything, can be anything. The rest must be, the last must be, let's say, an A. And you see, it gives us this. The last letter is an A. The ones preceding letters can be anything. And this is just working on the postcode field, right? Let's choose another field. Let's choose address line. Address line 4. Address line 4. Like. Let's choose Middlesex. And this says that the address must contain Middlesex, right? Which is different from the previous ones we did. All of Middlesex must show somewhere within the address. All of Middlesex must show.
Your last word is and
Come again.
in the Middlesex.
Is there an error? Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you. So address line 4 must contain Middlesex. Must contain Middlesex. Let's take a case where the address line has got more than just one word. Let's take a case where the address line has got more than one word and see whether we can search on just one of the words. Let's find out first. So if we take line 1, for example, we have Cleveland Park here, we have Lord something court. We have Pinewood, Natalie Close, Vine Road. Okay, let's do another one. Address line 1. I want us to see if we can address line 1. Like somebody should suggest a word from address line 1.
Close or road.
Okay, close. It wouldn't matter if I had the character, the case doesn't matter. So it gives me all the addresses that contain a close. All the addresses that have got close within them. You see how powerful this can be. The wildcard is very, very, very powerful. It's very powerful. In the same way, we can do this. Address line 4, like. Let me just select B. Underscore 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm targeting this word actually. Let's see if it will run or whether I have to leave space. I don't think so. Bex. Do you get that? Any questions so far?
Can we try not, please?
Yep, we can. We can. But you know why it's not, why it doesn't make sense to try not on another address? Anyway, that's an exclusion. It's fine. We can try that. We can try that.
I'm just being
We'll see
curious.
that this one will return all the other ones except those ones that have got that condition. Not like it will return everything. How many are here? 1, 2, 3, 4. It will return every other thing except that, except these 4 here.
Okay.
Any questions so far? Any questions? I was expecting somebody to ask me, why is Berkshire showing? Oh, okay. Can somebody tell me why is Berkshire? It starts with B, but why is Berkshire showing?
Berkshire is not a 5-letter word.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, sir. It's not a 5-letter word. That's the reason why it's showing. Right. So now let's go to the next query, next type of query. And this is where we would talk about null. Before we talk about null, who can tell me what the meaning of null is? What's the meaning of null? Please help me, help me, help me.
I can simply say 0.
Okay, somebody says 0.
No,
Void.
zero.
Invalid
Zero is
entry.
invalid.
Pardon?
Invalid entry.
No.
Invalid entry. Okay,
So
so
something
we have 0 invalid entry.
I think it means no data exists. There's
No
no
data is
value, no data value for that column.
no data value for that column. Okay.
Or is it cell? Yeah, cell.
What?
I think no data value for the cell.
No data value for the cell. Okay. Any more
Void.
suggestions?
Void.
Void. Okay. So what do you mean by void?
Empty.
Okay, empty. Okay.
or unknown.
Pardon?
Or
I said
zero.
unknown.
I heard a masculine voice. Say that again.
I said unknown, unknown.
Unknown. That's what I'm looking for. So it's none at all of any of those things that you said. It is what this gentleman has just said. Null is not 0. Null is not invalid. Null is not void. The real meaning of null is that we don't know what it is. That is why it is null. It doesn't mean there's nothing there. There could be something there. There might not be anything there, but we simply don't know what is there. So when you are handling null, you handle null with care. Null can be crazy at times. When you get to certain fields and you are handling null, it can be crazy. So null has to be handled with care. But at this stage, I don't think we would be afraid of null. So let's just see. So null has to be specified in this particular form. Is null, is not null. It's either is null or is not null. These are the two forms in which we specify null. Now we would experiment with this in a way and see. We would use void, we would use empty and see the results that we will get, just to prove the fact that this specification must be made. Otherwise, the result will not be what we expect it to be. So let's say we run the query. Usually it's good when you write it like this, immediately you start writing here, it gives you a drop down from which you can select. Okay, let's run this query and see what we have. Let's just run this and see what we have. Then we would add null condition to it. So this is just what we are looking for, right? We want the person ID, start date, pay type from pay elements. Okay, now if we say that end date, okay, let me even add end date to this. End date. And let's run it again and see. Okay, now let's run the same query with a null condition. And now that should give us an interesting result, the meaning of which I would like somebody to tell me. Where end date. Let's run this and see what we have. Okay, before I run this, can somebody tell me the meaning of this? Let me run it. Let me run it. Let me run it. Oh, come on. What's the meaning of this?
Yeah, it simply means these people, their end date is unknown at the moment.
Beautiful. The end date is unknown. We don't know when these people will leave the employment.
Yeah.
We don't know when they would go. So do you get the meaning of null? Is null making sense now? It's null. We don't know when they would leave. They are still in employment, so we don't know. Right, that's the meaning of is null. Now we can also say it's not null.
Please, Godwin, why is the start date in blue color?
Pardon?
The start date, why is it in blue color? I thought it's only the SQL command that is in blue. Just
It's
curious.
only what?
The start date, why is it in blue color? Just curious.
It's taking
In
it
the
from
query.
the I see, because the end date is not in blue, right?
Yeah.
I really have not experimented. Let me see, maybe the data type. Maybe it's the data type. Start dates. Maybe the data type, where is it? Start date. Which table is that in? Pay elements. Pay element. Date and date is also date. So why is this in blue and that is not in blue? That's interesting. Actually, I haven't thought of it. It's a good question. I would investigate and get back to you on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. So let's look at is not null. When we run this, that is what we get. End date is not null. So we know the end date of all of these ones. We know when they left or when they got sacked. Yeah, we know when they left or got sacked. Now let's look at something, and this is also very important to our knowledge or our, what is it called? Learning on null. Where end date Let me try this. Let's try this and see whether it would work. Did it work? It didn't work. Remember, I said right from the beginning that null has to be specified exactly as is null or is not null. So using the equal sign does not make sense. Mind you, null is something you don't know about. So how can you equate a known matter, end date, to something that is unknown? Is that making sense? The two cannot be equated because one is simply unknown. Eventually, you would get to know the end date. Eventually, even if at this point in time, you don't know. A time will come when you know. But null itself is not something that is known. So the two cannot be equated. In much the same way, this cannot be written as what is that? What is this here? This is space, right? I've left space here. This is space in here. You can see that the cursor is moving in between the brackets, the quotation marks. That means there's space there, which means what? Which stands for what? Void. It's empty. Let's run it and see the results we would get. The same results we have. So that shows that null is not the same as void. Null is not the same as void. And null cannot be equated to anything because null is an unknown entity. Is that okay? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Quickly, let's do this. So that brings us to an end of our, what is it called? What did we call it? The first five, the where clause. It brings us, we have looked at all the various instances of the where clause. All the various instances of the where clause we've looked at. The next thing that we want to look at, remember the format here that we said we should follow? Did I write it here or is on a different document? Okay, I said that was in a Word document. Okay, I get it. So this brings us to an end of this. But before we go, there's just one more thing I want to talk about. Might take maybe 10, 15 minutes. Or do we close for today?
I want to ask something, Sha.
Pardon?
Yeah, I wanted to ask something there.
Yes, do.
The last time we had the first class, you talked about us getting data from the DataGov site and we can import it on our Tableau. But
Yeah.
now the question is, I mean, going forward, is there a provision as regards how we would start working with data in our SQL so that while you are going, we are doing something and following suit?
You know that Mr. What is it called? The man who teaches
Yeah,
at
Mr. Robinson. Yeah,
us
yeah,
Power BI. We
yeah.
imported that data that was imported. I've to be quite honest with you, I have not myself imported that data yet, but I will do over the. I've been so busy during the week, so I've not been able to import it yet. I'm going to do it over the weekend. I'm going to have a look at it. I'm going to study it. But these queries here would run on any data set. Mind you, right from the beginning, I told you that the most important things that you need to know in your data set are the fields, the columns. What is it that is contained in the columns? Those are the things that you need to know. So you can run your queries on any data set, so long as you know what you are looking for, and so long as what your query makes sense, it would work. Do you get that? So if we are able to, maybe as we progress, I will actually use that data set in maybe 1 or 2 classes. I would like to do that. So I would also personally want to download it and study it, and then we can use it. It shouldn't be difficult at all.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, because I've been trying to like go through the data set to see. I've been checking the columns, but in most of the columns that I've been seeing it, I don't know. I can't find any data at the moment. I don't know, but
What
well,
do you mean?
yeah,
Do you want to
because
share? Do you want to share your screen?
my SQL is on another laptop, and I'm using
Okay, that's
that
fine.
to.
That's okay. Next time we can look at that.
Oh,
Yeah. Maybe by that time I would have myself looked at it. Okay.
okay.
But I believe we should be able to use it. That's why, is he Mr. Emmanuel? Or
Ebenezer,
Mr. B, what's his
Ebenezer,
called?
Ebenezer, Ebenezer.
Mr. Ebenezer, yeah, Ebenezer. Yeah, I believe that's why he asked us to download that data. We should be able to use it.
Yeah, I hope so too. Okay, no problem. That's all I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about.
Is anyone ready to, can anyone go to 10, 15 minutes more, or we should just close for today? We've
For me,
spent
I can,
2
but
hours. Pardon?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Because I feel a whole lot of disconnect in this program when it comes to working with the other professionals. So I'm just wondering, in real life, how do you use SQL? From
In
what
real
angle
life, how do you use
present to
SQL?
stakeholders?
Pardon?
From what angle do you present what you've done with SQL to the stakeholders?
Okay. So you know why Mr. Ebenezer asked us to download data into our SQL? Because you can import your data into your Power BI. You can't do visualization in SQL. All these tables that we are getting, all these results that we are getting are temporary, right? All these ones, they are temporary. They are virtual results. The only way you can get data directly from your database is if you pick it up directly from the table. These are the tables. So these ones are extracts from these tables. So these results themselves, or the only way you can use these results once you've run your query is to export into another tool with which you can manipulate, you can do further work on the data. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
So that's how we can use it. And quite honestly, if you are a data analyst and you know SQL, you know Power BI, you know Tableau, you know Python, you are hot cake. You are hot. You are hot. You are hot. So don't worry, it would all gel. Everything would gel, yeah? Everything would gel. Any other questions?
I
I
have
think
one
we
more
will just
question.
end after questions, yeah?
As a data analyst, do you present ERD diagram to your stakeholders?
Do you present what?
ERD diagram,
Be
entity relationship diagram.
You don't have to present entity relationship diagrams. No. You don't have to. That's data model, the models. You don't have to present. The models are done by the what are they called? Data scientists. There is the data scientist that model the data, not the data analyst. The data analyst is just to query the data.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
I've got one question, please.
Yes, please.
If you please roll back to where you use the in, please,
We should go
the
back to
in.
in.
Yes, that in. I just want to ask a question about that
Yes,
in
do.
married. Yeah. So what's the difference between in married and equals to married, please?
I said they are the same thing.
Okay, all
The
right.
only
Thank you.
difference here is that when you use in, you have to put the brackets around your group. You get that?
Yes, I got it. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And then the second question is just when you were talking about if I know Power BI SQL, I didn't hear the last part.
I
That
said
makes
if you
one
know you're a data scientist, you know Power BI, which in fact when they started teaching data analysis in Blue Sky, they were only doing what? Excel and then Power BI, I think. But now they've added Tableau and they've added SQL, which is brilliant. Because if you know data, if you know Tableau, you know Power BI, you know SQL, and you know Python. Python is another big one for data analysts. Yeah, but you don't have to know Python to be a data analyst, actually. It's just for another tool that you can use. And that Python is more of a programming language that is used to myself, I'm still studying Python. So yeah. Python or R. There's another language called R. But R is quite old, so a lot of people are, but it's still very much in use.
They use it very well over here, a lot.
Yeah, R is still very much in use.
Also, I have one last question for me, please.
Yes, please go ahead.
Um,
Why do you say last question? Do you know whether somebody else would ask a question?
No, I mean for me. I said for me.
Oh, for yourself. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I just want to ask a question in regards to SQL. Is it advisable before one start a query to put in like rollback trans, like trans and then rollback trans at the end, at the start and the end of the query, so one doesn't um kind of like affect or distort what has been written, especially if one wants to maybe test something or look into a query.
I don't understand your question. Can you repeat? I didn't get you.
Okay. Because I'm a QA.
Mm-hmm.
So at work, there was a time I wanted to check into an SQL work and then just to be able to run a query because I wanted to test. And then so my lead director said before you run it, just put trans at the start and roll back trans at the end. So if there's an error, you could easily return back to what it was. So I just wanted to ask, if it's advisable to always do that for every query. Just want to know. It's just a question.
I have always run the queries the way you see me running. It's here. I'm not sure exactly What did you call that word? Roll back.
Yeah, trans and
Oh, to
rollback trans.
roll back. Oh, roll back so
Yeah,
that when you make an error, you know where to. Okay. I get
exactly.
your point. I get your point. So you know where when you are using your Visual Studio or IntelliJ, where you put in when you are doing what is it called? Where you put your breakpoints. When you run your tests and then sorry, some people may get lost. I'm also a QA, so I think I get what you are trying to say. Is it the breakpoints, isn't it? Is that what you mean?
Pardon?
So things like breakpoints, is that what you mean?
Yeah, I don't really know about it. It's just the trans and rollback trans. So, though I was able to use it, but I just want to know if it's something that one can constantly use because I didn't really
No,
question it.
so for the purpose of testing, you want to know which part of your test has passed and which part of your test is failing. So it's just
I
like
know.
you put breakpoints when you are doing your tests in either Visual
Oh,
Studio or IntelliJ.
oh,
Do you get the point?
yeah, I get you.
That's just what it means. You want to know when you are testing, you want to know where your test is failing and where it is passing.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. In the absence of any further questions, I'll be sending the notes over. Let me do that now as we speak. We only use one sheet today, so I'll just copy this one. So the first bit starts from the last bit of the last lecture. So you can stop the recording now, please. And we'll be ending here. So have a very good night. And we see you next week. Next week, we will look at joins, okay? Maybe joins, maybe unions, joins and unions. We would have a look at those things.
Okay, thank you and good night, everybody.
Have a lovely week. Bye.
So, Juliet, please, if you can hear me, I send you a message. Can I be added to your group so I can access the video, please? Thank you. Hello, Juliet, can you hear me, please?
Emmanuel, I think you have to ask Olaume, I think.
Okay, I will. Thank you. It's just that
Olaume.
when one is newly added, you might not be able to access previous video or notes sent in the group. Or I will take your advice. Thank you.
I can send it to you later on.
Oh, I will be so glad to hear. I'll be so glad. Thank you. I'll look forward to that as well.
I'm not sure if Juliet is there.
Okay, I'll leave it to it. Have a lovely evening. I'll look for stuff. Thanks. Bye.
All right, bye.